Hello again, my name is Jason, and I'm going to be talking about The Gunslinger. This is book 1 in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. Recently made into a movie. Yes. It's kind of funny. So I think I first got interested in this book because I saw my dad reading it several years ago. And he seemed interested in it. At the time, and still today, I'm not interested in Stephen King's other books. But this one was interesting to me. I picked it up, I looked at the blurb on the back and everything, and it seemed quite a departure from his normal genre. It still has elements of his horror genre. There's still elements there, but he definitely has kind of departed from that for the most part for this particular novel. So The Gunslinger starts out with Roland of Deschain, and he is the last gunslinger of Gilead. There's a lot of lore and backstory about the gunslingers and about Gilead, which you don't get in the first book. The first book is very much talking about Roland himself and how he got to this point in his life. So Roland is actually searching the wasteland for just a man known as the Man in Black. You don't really get his name until much later. But he's called the Man in Black, and wherever he goes, people just lose their minds, and the world falls apart. The true purpose is that his true purpose is kind of shrouded in shadows and whatnot. He's a magician. He has magical abilities and things, and so that's kind of how he is able to manipulate people. Roland, on the other hand, Roland is a gunslinger. He has 2 6-shooters that he carries with him, and because of the very strenuous training, he is lightning quick on the draw and on the reload. I mean, they're just 6-shooters, but he can draw them very quickly and reload them very quickly. It's part of his legacy, or part of the legacy of the gunslingers that has been passed down to Roland himself. So the first thing that happens is Roland rides into this town, and the Man in Black had already been there. And the entire town, he's just basically going to be staying the night, but turns out that the entire town has been turned against him. Everybody's gone nuts, and Roland wastes them all. He is so quick on the draw, so quick to reload that nobody can even get close to him. He's one scary dude. Now, the Man in Black is also a very scary dude. I mean, he turned the entire town completely nuts. Anyway, so Roland continues on with his journey. At this point, his ride, he was riding in on a horse or a mule, I forget which one, not important, it's dead. So he has to walk. He ends up at an old abandoned station. And he meets he meets a boy named Jake Chambers. And he's initially wary of Jake Chambers because he's not sure if he's a plant by the Man in Black, someone that is there to derail him from his mission. And Jake does everything he can to help Roland. And it turns out that Jake is actually dead. He was basically on Earth, our Earth. And he was killed, and he ended up in Roland's world. That's not to say that this is like the afterlife or something. It's just a bizarre connection between worlds that moved Jake from our world to Roland's world. But he he and Jake end up traveling together, following the Man in Black, and they. I'm thinking about ending the description here because there's a lot of stuff that goes on between Jake and Roland, and a lot of stuff that would be spoilers for going forward. So just Jake is pretty much a normal boy. He's, if I remember right, he's 10, 11 years old. I could be wrong about the age. And he came from our world. So he has no experience living in a post-apocalyptic world where Roland is from. And I should have mentioned that before. But Wasteland kind of does say some of that. Roland does say several times that his world has moved on. Basically, it's on its last legs, and society has fallen. That's why he's the last gunslinger of Gilead. And he is after the Man in Black, and by extension, he's looking for the Dark Tower. And that's how this comes into being. Now, Roland is not a very complex character. When you initially meet him, he's very much straightforward, gruff. And it's not until he starts interacting with Jake and you start picking up more of his backstory that the picture of who Roland is starts to fill in, which is really nice. It's a really, really well done character development. The imagery is very stark. It's a wasteland. There's a lot of just nothing. And so there's a lot of time for Jake and Roland to be fleshed out as they travel together, and how they react to this wasteland that they're in. There's also the Man in Black, who very much to me seems unhinged. There's nothing really like, he doesn't like laugh maniacally or something but there's something about him that just seems very unhinged, like he's on the edge of sanity. And I think it was well done in the characterization of the Man in Black, and just the fact that Roland's world crosses kind of over into our, or there is a way to cross over into the worlds between ours and Roland's world, and how the worlds are all connected. I quite liked the Gunslinger. It got me interested in finishing the rest of the series. And I'm still looking forward to doing that. Again, I have quite a few books on my bookshelf, and so I'm going through them as fast as I can. So I've finished the first 4 books in the Gunslinger, or in the Dark Tower series. Kind of got bogged down on 4, but that's a different story. Anyway, so if you're not interested in Stephen King's horror books or his, the other stuff, the suspense stuff that he writes, the Gunslinger and the Dark Tower series are very different. They, like I said, they do have some elements of the suspense and horror that are in there, but they're not. It's not the main focus of the book, and so you get more. In my opinion, you get a better story. Anyway, that's it for the Gunslinger. If you decide to read it and you like it or don't like it, let me know. As always, like and subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you get notified when the next movie gets uploaded. And until then, enjoy what you're reading.